There I am. How are y'all doing there? I am the King CR, and we're gonna check out some more videos on Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's been getting a lot of hype recently, and not necessarily in the good way. Let's go ahead and watch this story trailer to start with. I always don't like starting with the doom and gloom, and I do truly hope this game turns out well. Let's look at it now. Oh, wait, hold on, let me put up my stream here. Oh, not that one. This one. Stand by. I'm a fool. There we go. There's that beautiful face. Oh my god, what's wrong with my eye? Let's do this.
It's hard to remember. Blood.
Breathe deeply. Tell me about your nightmare.
There is evil at work in our homeland. Greedy lords who bring war.
He comes. Oda Nobunaga. Iga is under attack.
Graphically, for a cinematic, it doesn't look that great.
This blade, it cannot be taken.
What?
Now is the time.
These people don't care about us.
Blood for blood.
This land will soon be unified by my vision. Is that tyranny?
I ride with you. My whole life, I have been caught on your wind, blown across the world.
I see potential in this man.
That is not how I remember historically that they met. That's crazy. I guess that they couldn't have put the actual way. Basically, from what I remember reading, is that Nobunaga was at the port, and he walked by Yasuke, and he seen that he was black. And he was like, I don't believe that you're black all the way around, so he had him disrobe. And he disrobed, and he showed he's black all the way around, and then he bought him. That was what I remember. I could be totally wrong. I'm not a historian. Hey, get the fuck out of here.
Back to wherever he belongs.
He may become a legend, or he may die. Kill me? No. Tools belong in the old world. This is the way forward.
That style of combat really does track with Nobunaga. He was definitely a sleazebag when it came to war.
It is you. You are a part of something bigger than this war. Our fates are connected.
We have all seen darkness. Some have been that darkness. Because you believe in my cause, we have come together, despite it all. To bring change, to bring light.
Didn't really tell me how they became friends. Honestly, the gameplay trailer, not the gameplay, but the story trailer, it looked alright. Graphically, the game wasn't very impressive, but I mean, it looked alright as far as story-wise. I would say alright, as in like mid, but it looked alright. Alright, now let's go ahead and Assassin's Creed Shadows leaks erase Japan history for Yasuke and non-binary agenda exposed. The hell? I didn't actually read the full title. Let's see what they got.
Assassin's Creed Shadows has become a titular game in the battle of players' wants and needs versus those of industry expectations. The game has been mired in controversy aplenty already. I've been covering this game's entire implosion since the moment it was dawned upon us. The game has rightfully gotten plenty of anger over the inclusion of Yasuke, but now the entire art book of Shadows has leaked online. And while I wish I could show you guys the photos of everything, I'm pretty sure that if I put that in this video, that Ubisoft will likely try to DMCA me for posting unreleased information. However, I can talk about it, and the internet is already up in arms about a lot of this too. Beyond this, Kingdom Come's developers want to exit the culture war, so to speak, and paint themselves as victims, and I'll get to that one in a bit later on too.
The hell?
So like I said, the entire art book leaked. Grums posted it, and unfortunately, if you go to click the link provided now, it goes to nowhere.
Oh,
the entire
shit.
thing has been scrubbed from the internet. Of course, plenty of people already downloaded most of the images already. Because who are we kidding? This is the internet. I think Ubisoft is less mad
Yeah,
that
you
it
can't
got
you
leaked
can't get
with
rid of
the
that. It's there
artwork,
forever.
and more so mad that it got leaked because of the information that has been provided from this book instead. Although what's presented in this book could be subject to change, I will speak on what was unearthed right now. Firstly, there was a samurai woman named Ibuki that was revealed. Also confirmed is that both Naoe and Yasuke will have different companions based on which character you choose to play.
That makes sense.
The easiest way to describe this is these companions each have unique abilities and traits and all of that stuff compared.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense for them to have the same friends and allies. They would, of course, have their own separate ones. I mean, she would have her allies, which would be aligned with the shinobi, while he had his aligned with the samurai. I mean, that's not crazy.
Compare them to, say, a Fallout 3 or 4 companion, if you will. That's probably the best way to look at them. I covered Yaya already, who was confirmed to be a female sumo wrestler.
Which is super weird. Because as far as I know, there was no female sumo wrestlers back then.
Type, which does make zero sense because such concepts did not exist during this time period.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think it was sumo was around back then.
1579, in case you didn't know. The game covers a civil war that ends with the finale of the Sengoku period of Japan.
Why didn't it make another female
Back to this
samurai?
Ibuki character. I'm looking right at her art right now in this
Or ninja.
image and everything else, and I wish I could show you guys, but again, Ubisoft will probably get butthurt if I do. However, what was unearthed about Ibuki is that her description in the book, which I am also not allowed to say, because if I do, that will also likely be something Ubisoft could DMCA me for. I will instead just tell you kind of the gist of it. Companies being companies, guys, aren't I right? Anyway, Ibuki is a Japanese female samurai. According to what I could find online, female samurais first existed during the time period of 1180 to 1185 during the Genpei War. Although, according to historical records, most female samurai did not actually face real combat.
It's crazy to me that you can't fight animals. That's probably the craziest part. Because they, if I remember right from the footage from yesterday, is that they said that you would not be able to actually fight the wildlife. Which is nuts, because they definitely had wolves and bears and shit in Japan at that time. So why the fuck couldn't you fight them? Because they're gonna come eat you, wouldn't they? It would only make sense to have that as another enemy. That's probably the part that blows my mind the most.
Instead, staying back in their respective homes or cities with the children to protect them when their husbands were away fighting the wars in their stead, usually also as samurai too. Basically,
They ate
female
meat.
samurai were like really badass moms who could not only cook you a nice dinner, but also slice their enemies down if they tried to harm their family.
That's my
Real
kind of
life
woman.
badasses they were. Although, I'm sure there will be people who will scoff at the idea of a female samurai, but they were in fact real.
Yes, they were. They were very real.
And active during these periods of time, even technically during Shadow's timeline.
Then why make that girl a sumo wrestler? Why not make her a samurai or a female ninja? Both were there.
Most female samurai, or as they were notably called, onabukeishas, I probably mispronounced that, but they were
Basically
even
some bad
fighting
bitches.
side by side their male samurai counterparts during the Sengoku period, which, yes, is when Shadows takes place. So I wanted to state that now, because when this game inevitably comes out, I know there will be some that may want to spread the story that female samurais did not exist, but
That's
they
dumb.
did.
They
I'm
very
gonna
much
save
did.
you now from spreading misinformation, which will only damage this cause more than anything else in the future. So these onabugeishas would protect their home.
Did you know that women are generally better archers because they have steadier hands and they have more focus than men do? True fact.
And Ibuki from this book is one of these female samurais, a ronin in fact. She's no longer a samurai. Ronins, by the way, are samurais who lost their honor or failed their lords that instead now wander the land in search of jobs for money. A famous female samurai, by the way, was Lady Otsuya, who was a daughter of the Oda clan and the aunt of Oda Nobunaga, the very same influential man that allegedly bought Yasuke when he was brought by the Jesuits to Japan in the 1500s. The reason why I'm talking about Ibuki is less about her character, so to speak, as there isn't really much to be said there. However, what was interestingly pointed out by Madame Savvy on Twitter was that Ibuki is very distinctly referred to in a non-binary-like way of thinking. Never
Seriously? Why even look at that kind of stuff?
once in Ibuki's small description is the word she or her ever used once. Only they or them is used to describe this female Ronin. This may be a unique thing, and surely other characters are explained in the same way, right? Well, actually no. It turns out as people comb through the book, whenever a character was very distinctively a male, they would be specifically referred to as he or him in their description. The same for female characters not being they or them, but of course instead she or her. This implies, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, unless Ubisoft changed this at some point, but I really doubt it happening, that Ibuki was absolutely going to be a non-binary samurai in Shadows always.
That would have absolutely take their sales with the current controversy that they have. Holy crap, that was a good move to avoid. They dodged a fucking bullet, because look at Veilguard. Dodged a fucking bullet.
And Ibuki is a companion exclusive from what I can tell for Naoe, so expect this non-binary samurai to be a love interest for Naoe too, since both her and Yasuke can romance whoever the player chooses. It also confirms that Naoe's father, Fujibayashi Nagato, is indeed a part of the Assassin's Brotherhood within Shadows, and is the original owner of the hidden blade given to Naoe. But this information is not that surprising, since in the story trailer recently that was released, we can see Nagato giving Naoe the hidden blade, so not really a spoiler. Another character detailed on the same page as Nagato is a female character named Katsuhime, who is described as being clad in Portuguese-like weapons and armor, and having a tenacity for firearms and explosives. This character will also be recruitable by Naoe, and yes, I assume a love interest too. I actually have no problems really with this character specifically. She seems pretty cool actually on the surface, so
Seems like a neat design.
for this one at least, credit where it's due. There's also a Robin Hood-like character named Genojo, who steals from the rich to give to the poor, and another recruitable character who makes a sort of rigid hidden blade to train as an assassin that you can eventually give formal training to turn them into one.
Alright, that's cool.
Out of the characters leaked here, it's obvious that Ibuki is going to raise a bunch of eyebrows, because it's yet again Ubisoft implementing non-binary propaganda
Gender
into their
politics.
games where it should not exist.
Gender politics, in my opinion, do not belong in video games. There's no reason. I don't care what gender you want to be. There's only two as far as I am concerned, or as far as I know. Male and female. That's my stance on it.
But I looked into it anyway, cause why not, right? Here's what Google ended up telling me. While the term non-binary wasn't used in the Sengoku period or
No,
any
it wasn't.
historical period before the modern era, there is evidence of a third gender concept in Japan during the Edo period, which followed the Sengoku period, called wakashu, referring to young men who were considered neither fully male nor female and could be sexual partners for both men and women, suggesting a societal understanding of gender fluidity beyond the binary. Key points about wakashu meaning translates roughly to beautiful youths. Social role. These young men were considered sexually attractive and could engage with both men and women, often within the context of same-sex relationships with older men. Significance. The existence of wakashu is often cited as an example of a historical third gender in Japan.
It's not a third gender, it's a sexual preference. He's still male, he just likes both genders. It's not a third gender. It's just somebody's sexual preferences. That's crazy.
Well, third gender's kind of pushing it. That's obviously progressive reimagining of
Very
the
much
concept.
so.
These wakashu are basically, let's just say it how it is. They're
They're
modern
femboys.
twinks, pretty much. This doesn't mean that they're a third gender. They're simply young men who got down with either genders.
Yes.
Which is Well, not something I want to ever see in person if
No!
I'm being real, but this is not non-binary. This is literally a twink, guys. Come on. Ibuki doesn't know anyway. She's
Fucking leg is
referred
gay.
to as they, them. Although people tried to community note Savvy's post and claim that the they in the sentence refers to the Ronins and their habits, not Ibuki. But I don't think so. Let me read you what it says. It states, free-spirited, rebellious, yet joyful by nature, this recruitable ally is a solitary Ronin who came from a clan of obedient samurai but now follows a unique moral compass. They were well-trained and excel in combat but always felt constrained by the strict rules and stoicism of the samurai class.
Yeah, that sounds like they're initially talking about a singular person. And I do believe that that's gonna be gender politics, and I hope it's not in there.
Typically clad in a classic kimono and
'Cause it's only gonna make this game worse.
harbors a deep reverence for
With the
punishment
controversy.
in nature. No, the they does not refer to the Ronin as a group or anything like that. Stating they were well trained and excelled in combat, but always felt constrained by the strict rules and stoicism of the samurai class, the description would specifically state that Ibuki's entire clan felt that way, but it's worded to imply that Ibuki herself is the only one who feels that way about the samurai code. So again, she's being referred to in a non-binary manner, implying that she is indeed non-binary. Also, Hakama pants are described to be a part of Ibuki's look, and Hakama pants, as I could see here, are gender-neutral pants in Japan. So both genders wear them. Here's a picture of what these pants look like in the modern day. As you can see, anybody can wear these, which can also be conspicuously chosen by
Alright, he might be taking a stretch on this one.
Ubisoft for Ibuki to imply that she is seeing herself as non-female, but instead non-binary, because even her clothing style choice is of a gender-neutral look.
I mean, the clothing thing, that could be a bit of a stretch. But everything else, I think he's on fucking point. I think he's fucking right.
I wonder how people will react once the game comes out and it's confirmed that Ubisoft has, once again, modern audience, the Society of Japan like this again to meet their needs. But it doesn't end there. This brings me back to Yaya, the fat female so-called sumo wrestler
Why?
that totally could exist during this time, except not really at all.
No!
Yaya's description reads, Yaya brings formidable strength, both physical and spiritual, to any cause. As a dedicated Sohei, a Buddhist warrior monk, she became a fierce fighter. However, people started pointing out that not only does Yaya's existence as a sumo wrestler make zero sense during the time period the game takes place in, but her now confirmed lifestyle to be that of a Buddhist warrior monk makes even less sense, and proves that Ubisoft has yet again decided to twist traditional Japanese culture to make way for their woke ideals. As stated in this infographic made by Haba Bandor.
All around, that is just an ugly character, and I do not like the design. I mean, they can make a bigger woman, but they should have made her a samurai, or maybe anything else. Somebody with a fucking cannon, something that made a little bit more sense than this. A sumo wrestler Buddhist monk does not make sense for the era.
On Twitter, monastic life, including that of nuns, often involved a simple diet focused on vegetarianism or at least a limited range of foods
You don't get that big off of vegetarianism.
based on Buddhist precepts. So I decided to look up warrior monk diets, because why not during this time period, and here's what I got. A Japanese warrior monk typically associated with Buddhist teachings would primarily follow a vegetarian diet known as Shojin Ryori, which focuses on tofu, seasonal vegetables, seaweed, and other plant-based foods, adhering to the principle of not harming living creatures by avoiding meat and fish. Key elements of a Japanese warrior monk's diet: tofu, a primary source of protein, blah blah blah, seasonal vegetables, miso soup, seaweed, brown rice, pickled vegetables, and stuff like green tea. And it was specifically stated that they ate no meat or fish due to Buddhist precepts against killing. A Shojin Ryori diet strictly avoids animal products, so if you're a warrior monk, you must not harm animals and must instead, basically, be a vegetarian. Although remember that Yaya is apparently also a sumo wrestler, but also female, and sumos apparently eat tons of meals made with protein as an
And you're not gonna get that way eating tofu.
animals. Because sumos obviously need huge calorie diets to sustain their massive sizes for obvious reasons, but what Ubisoft is claiming here is that Yaya is a warrior monk who is also apparently a sumo and a woman, despite not being able to eat the sort of diet that would allow her body to reach the weight or form she would need to
So it's done by magic.
become a sumo wrestler.
Or
since she
lies!
is strictly vegetarian. I
She's
also
been
decided
sneaking the
to look up
donuts.
How many calories a sumo wrestler would need to maintain their size to compete. The answer that I could find is that sumo wrestlers require roughly 20,000
Shit, he got down to the
calories
math
per
on
day
this.
to keep themselves in the desired form to compete. To put that into perspective for you, the average adult man today needs an average of around 2,000 to 2,600 calories per day to sustain themselves. Meaning these sumo wrestlers in such cases are eating as much as 10 times the amount of calories as a normal man does to keep their form. Now remember that Yaya apparently has to eat this, but
And the reason that sumos have to stay that big is because there's no weight classes. If you're a skinny guy being put up against a big guy, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So you need to match their weight. If you don't match their weight, well, guess what? You're at a disadvantage. You're getting thrown right out of that ring like a rag doll.
in vegetables. It's simply unsustainable and likely borderline impossible to do.
It is!
Ubisoft basically threw all the logic out the window and
You show me one sumo wrestler that eats nothing but vegetables, and I'll give you $100 right now.
said we need a female sumo wrestler somehow, so we're gonna have her, I guess, anyway. Then Dr. Alaric Naude, who keeps appearing in my videos due to his wealth of knowledge around these sorts of things, chimed in on this supposed fat sumo female vegetarian with, they can't get anything right, even English is wrong. Buddhist monks are called monks and nuns are called nuns. Moreover, this person doesn't
So they didn't even get the basic name? You're right, she's a Buddhist nun, not a Buddhist monk. What a bunch of fucking idiots.
Instead, they look like a Chinese model from Confucianism. I said that totally wrong, my bad. Ubisoft seems to view all Asians as the same. I'm gonna be real with you guys, I don't know what Confucianism is. I probably said that. How do you say Confucianism?
Okay,
How do you
come.
say it? I don't know. Anyway, according to Google, it is a system of ethics, values, and behavior that originated in ancient China. It's based on the teachings of Confucius, a Chinese philosopher. So they based Yaya's look and beliefs instead on ancient Chinese values over those of Japan. Does Ubisoft know where they're setting shadows in example?
Holy fucking shit. No way did they do that. There's no shot. There's no fucking shot. They took something out of Chinese culture and put it in a video game about Japan. That's fucking crazy.
Exactly, because it sure as hell ain't China last time I checked. Another user would reply to all of this with, oh god, that's even worse than a sumo wrestler. At least sumo wrestlers have reasons why they're so
Yeah, at
fat.
least they're in
That's
fucking
the high
Japan.
calorie diets given to them. While a monk, we are in an era where food shortages are constant because of the war. A monk is a peasant compared to a sumo. How? Nowadays would reply, robbing peasants most likely. I mean, nowadays, right, that's really the only way Yaya could theoretically find the sufficient amount of calories to be fat enough during the Sengoku
Yeah,
period.
because they're at war.
But then
Everybody's
she
fucking
would be a
poor.
Vegetarian only, since Ubisoft confirmed that she's a warrior monk somehow, even though she's a woman, so she would be a nun.
No,
instead.
she's not a monk,
So
she's a
Yaya
warrior
not only
nun.
doesn't make any sense at all, but she's also describing herself in a male-oriented sense. I then decided to look into those fan.
No, I don't think that this one was gender politics. I think this is just because they thought warrior monk sounded cool, so they went with that and didn't do any fucking more research after that.
Famines described, and yeah, there were quite a few of them.
They just
None of
stopped
the
there.
famines, however, that I could find technically overlap specifically with the time period that Shadows takes place in. However, during the Sengoku period, it was considered a time where Japan's overall population decreased almost by 1 million people. 920,000 people to be exact died from famine.
God, that
alone
combat
during
looks like shit.
1780 to
Look at that.
1786. But this particular
Looks horrible.
famine happened 200 years after the events of Shadows. Regardless, the concept that
You see that? This guy's just really
is
bad.
ridiculous. A female warrior monk, not a nun, who's
Did they not put a gamer behind the controller here?
As her attacks and abilities referred to by sumo-s terms, is somehow able to consume 10 times the amount of calories as the average.
Are you
man at
running
a time
away?
where food shortages were aplenty. But this is Ubisoft we're talking about, so this shouldn't be too surprising, I suppose. We also have art here showcasing original work for Naoe before her final design.
You know what? I hate all these front up fights with the ninja. They're supposed to be sneaky, attack from the shadows, and take him off one at a time. What's with all the frontal fighting? They're assassins. They're not goddamn warriors. They ain't meant to go into the front lines and take on 12 guys at once. They go in the shadows, they kill a man, they jump back in the shadows. That's how a ninja works.
Notice how she's far more feminine, has longer hair, and looks less.
Wait, is that the concept art for her? She looks way fucking better in the concept art. Like, holy shit. Over here on the right, she looks alright, but on the left, she looks fucking amazing.
Boyish than her finalized design. I wouldn't be surprised if Ubisoft made Naoe look
I would mistake the right one for a dude. The left one, I would know that's a girl.
less feminine on purpose to blur the line, so to speak, when it comes to her gender identity and all of that.
Who
Then we
cares?
get to the one character that makes me go, oh boy, Ubisoft might be getting themselves into hot water here. Let me explain. So we have this character named Junjiro. He's a happy-looking, chubby young boy. His description reads, Junjiro is an 8-year-old bundle of relentless positivity who lives in a crumbling old temple with his guardian, the aged monk Soren. After he finds Naoe near death, they nurse her back to health, and Junjiro becomes the mascot of Naoe and Yasuke's League of Allies. What people started to point out, specifically Savvy again, is that one of the major consultants for Shadows is a Japanese woman named Sachi Schmidt-Hori. She's the lady on the left in this photo here with the associate narrative designer Brooke Davies. Sachi is the author of a book that specializes in, and no, I'm not kidding, and it's called Tales of Idolized Boys, Male Love in Medieval Japanese Buddhist Narrative. Let me read you the description
Oh
of this
my
book.
God.
Yes, this is real.
I think that they needed to find new people for this. Like, holy
In medieval
crap.
Japan, 14th, 16th centuries, it was customary for elite families to entrust their young sons to the care of renowned Buddhist priests from whom they received a premier education in Buddhist scriptures, poetry, music, and dance. When the boys reached adolescence, some underwent coming-of-age rites, others entered the priesthood, and several extended their education, becoming Chigo or Buddhist acolytes. Chigos served their masters as personal attendants and as sexual partners.
That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. So pretty much, the parents who were poor sold their kid to a temple, to a priest, who went and diddled them. That's fucking nuts.
During religious ceremonies adorned in colorful robes, their faces made up and hairstyled in long ponytails, they entertained local
Yeah,
donors
no
and
shit.
pilgrims with music and dance.
I agree.
Stories of acolytes from the 14th to 16th centuries form the basis of the present volume. An original and detailed literary analysis of 6 tales coupled with a thorough examination of the socio-political, religious, and cultural matrices that produce these texts. Yeah, you heard that right. These
Oh,
young
God,
boys
I
were
need a
entrusted
drink.
to old man priests to be trained to become priests themselves and would usually be used as sexual partners with these old men. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here, guys?
That is the
With
craziest
that
shit I
first
think
part
I've
of
heard all
Junjiro's
day.
description
Wow.
again,
Ooh.
Junjiro is an 8-year-old bundle of relentless positivity who lives in a crumbling old temple with his guardian, the aged monk Soren.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Do I need to spell
No.
it out for you more, or do you see what I'm insinuating?
Oh, God.
Is Junjiro being a main character in this game, and Sachi Schmidt-Hori, who's an expert in...
Alright. So, in Assassin's Creed Shadows defense, I don't think that their intention was that. I don't think that they did enough research into it, and somebody suggests, oh yeah, put a little boy in there, be a mascot. How are we going to get a little boy in there? Well, put him in a temple, it'll be fine. They put him in a temple, oh my god, then they found this. This is fucking nuts. I hope, I pray, that they did not put child molestation in this game. I truly do.
Old man on young boy relations in Japan? Yeah.
Even though it was commonplace in Japan back then. It's not okay now.
Feel worse than before we all knew this. Let's keep moving on.
And it would be
Next
looked
time you
upon
think of
poorly
Junjiro
on the
by play
game.
or see him in game, the likelihood that he's, with his... Anyway, let's just keep moving on. Good God, dude, this is bad.
Oh my
I
god.
also joked that Ubisoft would find a way to make white man the evil bad guys of this Japanese game, and it looks like I'm right. We also have a character in the book called Nuno Caro, who's described as a Portuguese Templar who spent 20 years establishing the Templar connection throughout Japan. He's also described to be involved in an incident on a slave ship that has made him the target of Yasuke specifically. So I assume Yasuke's main villain could very well be this Portuguese Templar man who again isn't Japanese, but the evil white man. Who could have seen that coming, except everybody.
Now, am I wrong, but I thought it was the Italians that sold, not Italians, but the conquistadors who sold Yasuke to Nobunaga. I could have a total misconception, but I thought that they were from somewhere in Italy.
There's also another white character named Duarte de Mello. He is a slave trader and is also a white man that is explicitly stated in the book that he will face the wrath of Yasuke and Naoe too. Are you noticing how every white character we know so far in Shadows...
And from what I remember is that I don't think that Yasuke had any long-term hating towards the slave owners. Not anything that I remember from reading. I could be wrong.
Nuno Caro, who's described as a Portuguese de Mello. He is a slave trader and is also a white man that is explicitly stated in the book that he will face the wrath of Yasuke and Naoe too. Are you noticing how every white character we know so far in Shadows is irredeemable and awful? It's just like Dragon Age Veilguard all over again.
Oh, God.
White people are the devil, everyone else is a good guy, and the white man must be
Yes.
cut down and destroyed. I wouldn't be
Every straight white man is evil, and their opinions don't matter because they don't have the lack of privilege. Yeah, white power. It's fucking crazy. Anybody that has that mindset needs to go back to fucking school.
surprised if the Portuguese guys are the ones behind everything and the Japanese are actually just their pawns, and it's up to Naoe, a Japanese shinobi, and her totally real black samurai buddy to kill
They're
all the
totally-
white people. Because everything white people touches is evil, of course. It's so late
Yes,
to see,
clearly.
but it's not surprising. sadly,
Everything.
either. But it gets worse. The book also reveals that when Oda Nobunaga performed seppuku at the demand of Akechi Mitsuhide, his treacherous general, that in real history, it was Oda's son that seconded him when he
Oh, hold on. Hi there. I'm the editor. I'm hopping into this conversation because of a little oopsie that was about to happen. Because of yours truly. Completely innocent mistake. It happens to everyone. But we can learn from our mistakes and correct them. Well, unless you're Ubisoft, that is. As you know, Endymion is about to tell you how Ubisoft claims that Yasuke was Oda Nobunaga's second during his seppuku, which is
He was not.
obviously false. But we might have also jumped the gun with saying that Oda's son was his actual second, which in reality is also not true.
Oh.
In fact, it was actually Mori Ranmaru. Here's the updated tweet, which came after Endymion recorded this. However, do not fear.
From what I remember, it was the general that betrayed him, and then he committed seppuku. I don't know anything else past that. I only have like a general skim of this.
This is now fixed. I want to thank the Japanese community for correcting our mistake and for informing us, as lovely as they always are, with huge amount of info. Anyway, I'm gonna go away now in the background and let Endymion keep talking.
Basically, when you perform seppuku, you sit down, obviously, and you stab yourself in the guts so that you die. But then what happens after is another person...
Wait, what does that actually say? I wasn't even actually paying attention, my bad. This might indeed anger Japanese people. It's spectacular that it's actually Mani Ranmaru who seconded Oda Nobunaga and assisted him in committing seppuku, not Yasuke. This is beyond ridiculous, Ubisoft. It says down there, the moment that Oda Nobunaga commits seppuku left as the Honnoji temple burnt down around him, with Yasuke serving as his second and Neo lurking in the far right doorway, is certainly one of the most intensively dramatic in the entire game. Opposite page, bottom, using parkour to explore spectacular dimly lit cavern, blah blah blah. That's crazy. Okay. I don't even know what to say. That's nuts. Why would they do this?
The person
Why would they go out of their fucking way to make their game even worse?
performing the seppuku to second them, or cut them down pretty much, so that the seppuku is performed but it's not considered a suicide since they actually die.
Okay, Assassin's Creed has not been insanely close to historically relative, but I mean, they've been ballpark. I mean, holy shit. They at least got, like, influential characters right. This is fucked up. They didn't change roles. They didn't change the positions of the influential characters. Let's look at Assassin's Creed 3. They kept all the same influential people there. They didn't change shit about what they did or what they had doing with it. This one, they took their main protagonist and fucking changed everything. It's crazy.
From the second blade hitting them instead. Anyway, in real history,
Mori Ranmaru
is the one who seconded him, but Shadows apparently is changing this real historical fact to make it so that Yasuke is the one who seconds Oda.
Why?
Mori Ranmaru.
Effectively making Yasuke seem more important to Oda, as he chose Yasuke instead to cut him down.
You know, and I think I know why. I think it's because Yasuke, apart from being the black samurai who was adopted pretty much by Nobunaga, other than that, he didn't have like a super big impact. So I think that they're just trying to make a narrative to make Yasuke more impactful than what he really was. I don't think that he had like a whole lot to do during Nobunaga's fucking conquering of Japan. And I think that they're just trying to make a narrative to where he had more of an influential role by putting him in the spot of this guy, Mori Ramaru.
This is actually really bad and completely alters history in this game for no other reason than Ubisoft is full of idiots, pretty much.
Pretty
Doesn't
much.
feel like Jesus getting nailed to a cross, but then he actually dies because Yasuke...
This is clearly them trying to give Yasuke a more important role than what he really had. Which is crazy to me.
appears out of nowhere and cuts him in half instead, and then they call that history now. It's just stupid. All of this is so stupid. We got non-binary samurais, fat women eating 20,000 calories in famines. We got young boys with old guys. We got white evil dudes in a game full of Japanese people and a token black guy. And now they're changing real history to make their black samurai seem more important than he really is.
Oh shit, he said the same thing I did.
I actually can't wait to decipher everything in it and see how badly Ubisoft did here. It's going to be glorious.
Look at that jumping. That jumping looks like it.
What do you think about all of this? Good changes or bad? Well, I know your answer anyway, but I'll ask it regardless. Let's now